can't hit the quarterback, but you saw an uptick in the tempo. What'd you see from your offense today?
Yeah, I thought we did a lot of great things. You know, it was cool. We got the referees out here. We got the pads on. It felt the most real that we've been since the Super Bowl, and you saw guys going hard. They're practicing hard. We had some mistakes. You saw guys learn from that, and of course, Coach Reed ordered the hottest day that we could have for the first day of pads. He does that every year, it seems like.
So another day of Kansas City Chiefs training camp is officially in the books. The pads were on, and it's safe to say we're finally starting to feel the heat turn up. The tempers are rising, and the real competition is finally actually getting underway. And there's a lot to unpack from today's action, from individual standouts to some good catches to some good defensive responses from the secondary. We saw some flashes from many guys and everything in between, so a lot to talk about. We also got some player interviews that I want to show you and so much more. But before I do begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind, and your support truly means the world. Alright, so right out of the gate, today's early session focused on the ground game. The team was working on establishing rhythm in the run game, and you could tell that emphasis was there from the start. Elijah Mitchell was the first guy up, and he continues to carve out a real role for himself. The one-cut ability, the explosiveness. Obviously, it's still camp, and nobody is going 100% contact, but even at 80%, you can tell which backs can find daylight when the blocks aren't clean. Mitchell found space quickly, hit it, and got out. Clean rep, simple execution, and a strong start for the backs. But once they started rolling into 11 on 11s today and putting real structure around those reps, the defense wasn't having it anymore. Carson Steele tried to break one loose up the middle, attempting to bounce it out, and he just ran into a wall. You could feel the shift in tempo. The defensive line and the safeties bit down hard. It was great gap control, strong leverage, and aggressive reads at the second level. One of the safeties timed it perfectly, reading Steele's cut and meeting him before he could turn the corner. And that's exactly what you want to see, the defense reacting, swarming, and setting the tone when the pads go on. These are the reps that separated camp body from an actual roster spot. Later on, we got to see more boot action installed into the script. They motioned Carson Steele to the right, faked the handoff, and booted it back out to the opposite direction. And it was just classic Chiefs, classic Andy Reid. Flood the defense to one side and hit them on the backside with a layered concept. Mahomes rolled out with 3 options, a shallow crossing route, a mid-crosser, and then a deep comeback. And he hit Noah Gray on the crosser, or at least tried to. Gray couldn't haul it in. But then, Mike Caliendo, yes, the offensive lineman dove in and snagged it off the bounce. What a play. Jaden Hicks was in coverage and played it beautifully, getting his hand in to disrupt the catch. So you had a great ball by Mahomes, even better defense by Hicks, and then an insane heads-up recovery by Caliendo. Definitely not your average rep, but that's why you keep watching every snap, stuff like that. You love to see the competitiveness right out of the gate. And speaking of guys flashing, Tyquan Thornton has been tearing up one-on-ones all week. There wasn't direct footage from this practice, but by all accounts, he's stacking good days. He was running with the first team today, and it's pretty clear they're giving him a real opportunity to contribute this season. That raw speed, long frame, and high round pedigree is getting real investment right now. He's consistently showing up in 7-on-7s and during full team drills. On one particular 7-on-7 rep, they lined up Thornton with Travis Kelce, Hollywood Brown, and Isaiah Pacheco, a strong mix of the first team offense. The defense showed pre-snap motion, then dropped into zone. Mahomes did what Mahomes does, manipulated the coverage with his eyes, held the safety just enough, then ripped it to Kelce, working up the sideline. The ball popped loose late, but not before the offense had already moved the chains. What really stood out wasn't the gain, it was how aggressive the defense was at the catch point. Guys were going for the ball every chance they got. That punch-out mentality is clearly being emphasized even in non-tackling drills. They're attacking the rock. Then after that, you started seeing the rotations. The second unit came in, Sky Moore got some burn, and the energy didn't dip. These reps are valuable. You want competition at every level. First team, second team, practice squad guys trying to get noticed. That's how a roster gets built. One of the biggest plays from today came from linebacker Leo Chenal. The offense ran a triple crosser concept, perfect for breaking man coverage, and they tried to hit Thornton deep. Looked like it was going to be for a big time gain too, but Thornton had a step, the ball was on time, and for a split second it looked like it was going to hit, but Chenal dropped into his zone, read Mahomes' eyes, timed his jump, tipped the pass, and came down with the interception. It was a huge play, and that's the kind of moment that can flip momentum in a real game situation. That's the kind of play you circle in camp and remember when the season starts, not just because of the result, but because of the awareness and the positioning and also the execution, of course. And then came Jalen Royals, and let me just say this, the Chiefs are doing a fantastic job of integrating him in early, with Rashee Rice potentially out to start the year. Whether it's 2 weeks or 6, the reps are wide open, and Royals is making the most of them. They used him on a misdirection bootleg concept, pulling the linebackers to one side, stopping and hitting Royals flowing back across the field. It's a perfect way to showcase his fluidity in space, and he picked up a chunk gain doing exactly that. Later on in team drills, they isolated Royals in man coverage. This time he was matched up against Mike Edwards, and he absolutely cooked him. He got separation within the first 3 steps. That's the kind of quickness that makes offensive coordinators dream. It's the kind of matchup you look for, especially when the defense tries to get creative with matchups and starts throwing safeties onto receivers. Royals made them pay in back-to-back reps over the middle. He caught the ball in stride and was looking confident all day long. Really, since the beginning of training camp, he's been confident. You don't want to overhype training camp reps. Again, I definitely want to emphasize that, but these really aren't flashes. This is sustained involvement so far. And while we're talking wideouts, don't forget Juju Smith-Schuster is still in the mix here too. It's clearly going to be a by-committee approach while Rice is out. Thornton, Royals, Juju, maybe even Sky Moore a bit, and Justin Wilson could see expanded roles depending on personnel groups. But Royals is putting himself in that conversation right now, and you can't ask for anything more from a younger player than that. Another underrated name to watch is Jaden Hicks. He had a beautiful rep in coverage earlier, and he continues to be disruptive all over the field. We talked about him earlier going up against Noah Gray. And while the ball may have gotten completed on the second effort, Hicks did everything right on that play. A quick reaction, he was physical at the catch point and playing with his eyes. These are the guys who might not be the headliners, but they're putting real pressure on the depth chart right now. Even Travis Kelce got in on the action today with a few solid grabs, and he did have a fumble, but that's expected. He's going to be a target monster as always. Mahomes looks sharp. He did throw an interception, but the offensive rhythm is definitely building, and while there's still a lot of camp left, the structure of this offense is starting to take form. And that's kind of the theme right now. It's identity. The Chiefs are finding out what this version of their offense looks like without Rice early on, what the backfield rotation is going to be like behind Pacheco, and how the young guys on the defense are developing. From Leo Chanel flying around, to Mike Caliendo diving on tip balls, to Tyquan Thornton and Jalen Royals making plays in space, there's real progress happening, that's for sure. And maybe the most encouraging part is that the defense looks fast. They're flying around, they're physical, and they're opportunistic. They're reading and reacting, flying to the football, and making life tough for the offense in just about every rep. The pads came on, and they didn't flinch. But yeah, that's really all I have to say for today's video. I thought it was a really good and productive day for the Chiefs. A lot of things happened, a lot of plays that you can kind of take things away from. If you enjoyed this one and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and also let me know what you would like to see next. And until then, I will see you all later.
With first day in pass, the heat, you got the refs out here. What would you give today's grade on the practice?
Yeah, I would say it was about a B, B maybe B plus. You know, there was procedural things that we did. The referees got us on, and there were some refs that we made mistakes offensively. But I loved how the guys competed.